This project started with one goal in mind, and that was to train as many Christians as possible to share the good news of Jesus.
Every single believer, if you believe in Jesus, you have actually been called to ministry.
I was content just going to church on Sundays and then just being called into more and knowing that there was more.
Most Christians want to share the gospel, but don't, just simply because they don't know how. And they know they should share the gospel, they want to, but because they don't know how, they rarely do. In fact, like Lifeway research and Barna research actually say that only around 10% of Christians in North America have shared the gospel only once in the last 6 months. And this is just not enough. There's people who will be eternally separated from God forever in hell because Christians are not actively sharing the gospel of Jesus. And so through all of that, our team was like, we need to create a roadmap, a strategy, something to help give an actionable call to the church, to the believer, to actually share the gospel. And that's where this whole vision of every disciple literally being sent came from, and started to resonate in us. And we're like, if we can create a roadmap, again, a strategy, a model for believers to know how to share the gospel, we can actually train them to step over that line, to begin obediently sharing their faith with the people they know in their context. The events and everything we did was like they were catalytic to something God was already doing in the hearts and in the spirits of people. And what's so beautiful about this is so many people gave of their time, of their money, of their hearts, their resources to make this happen. And so we're just so grateful, because what we've seen happen was this culmination of many leaders, of people praying, giving to see the mission, like the Great Commission, actually accomplished in our nation.
So our strategy behind Every Disciple Sent, as we set out to just train as many people as possible, was on one level, we wanted people to just see an example and have a life on mission modeled to them and give them the tools and stuff like that. So we ran an event, and that the event was an opportunity for churches to come together to establish like unity around mission and to actually just catch a glimpse of what this could look like in their cities. But we know that it's not enough just to see a tool once or have an inspirational moment and then sustain a life on mission. So the second level of that is we invited people after the event to join a school. And what would happen in the school is for a week straight, almost every night of the week, people would be taking teams out in the streets and doing further training and answering questions and things like that, but actually kind of hand-holding and modeling and assisting people as they're starting to develop a lifestyle and learn how to do this. Part of our thought process behind the schools too is that we want to keep it simple enough that anybody who goes through a school could see like, oh, I could actually run this in my church or in my small group, or take this training and just apply it in my context. And what's so cool is after we trained a lot of these places, we've actually heard that the training is continued because it was that simple and reproducible. So we're now seeing training happening at churches all across Canada just by their own people. And finally, we didn't want this to be a flash in a pan, but we really wanted this to become a lifestyle where people in their own rhythms of life are learning how to live on mission and make disciples. So after the event and the school, people could run this 9-week video series in a small group or in their home and basically set goals together as they're receiving video training 1 day a week, and actually put it into practice so that it becomes a lifestyle and a rhythm in their life. We also wanted to offer like a network of coaches so that they could have ongoing coaching and training in the future, and have somebody in their life who can help them problem solve as they're starting to live on mission and run with a local team in their city.
This year has just been such an amazing journey as the Lord has just led me just so gently and kindly by the hand into evangelism. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I homeschool our boys, and we do, hockey and music lessons and all the mom stuff. But he just showed me step by step how to journey into sharing my faith more.
I shared the 3 circles. First time I ever did it to anybody else. It was easy. It's an easy tool.
It's practical encouragement too, right? Like it's not just like leaving feeling inspired, but it's leaving feeling inspired and energized and equipped.
The 3 circles thing, that's very useful for sharing the gospel. I never really knew before. I knew what the gospel was, but sharing it just seemed like another step.
The first thing that I felt like the Lord was putting on my heart was just a few women that He wanted me to connect with. And so we started doing this on Saturday mornings. We would just meet for a couple hours, have some coffee and breakfast. He just got me more comfortable sharing in that setting with, in my home with people that I was comfortable with. It just became more and more natural to just bring Jesus into the conversation and to speak truth and share what He was putting on my heart. I then got some training and some tools and got equipped just to be more comfortable.
After this weekend and having all the tools, writing down notes, it became so much easier, and you just realize it's really simple.
From deliverance to tools to just seeing how practical and simple sharing on the street can be.
To learn how, and they taught that practical aspect, which was life-changing.
I just saw so much. There were like 8 people that received Jesus in just this short time, and I got to baptize a couple of them. I saw so many miracles, healing in people's neck and back. I saw a man that was able to hear again in his one ear for the first time in 30 years, I think he said.
Every Disciple Sent is a collaborative vision of a bunch of different ministries across Canada with the goal of literally every disciple being sent.
So many times in the Gospels, when Jesus talks about the gospel message, He actually talks about it as like a seed. And He says that this farmer goes and he sows this seed and reaps a harvest. And my hope and prayer for Canada is that we would reach this point where we recognize this biblical principle that he who sows sparingly reaps sparingly.
We want to give every believer church organization in Canada the opportunity to be equipped so that you can share the gospel of Jesus with the people you know and love.
My wonder is that maybe if we just started sowing the gospel seed, that trust that's been given to us, if we just started sowing that thing recklessly and just giving it away, I believe the promise that is in the Bible is he who, actually sows will reap a harvest, that you will actually see a harvest. So if we could see gospel sharing just become a normal thing again, where every disciple just knows that they have been entrusted with this seed and they're not meant to hold on to that seed and let it just rot in their pocket. They need to actually sow that thing everywhere they go. But if that becomes normal, I believe we will see revival in Canada.
So we want to invite you, come to one of these events, come to one of these schools, launch the video series, get coached by our coaching team, because when you do, you can ignite mission where you are, you can share Jesus, and you can multiply His hope in your city. See, your community is longing to hear about the good news of Jesus through your life.